The Giants dropped their fourth straight game. Can they get back on track and quickly? Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Stiles. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks to you, the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about your San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and typically a little bit of fun when they're actually winning games. I'm from the Bay, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show on Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercast games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are discussing the Giants dropping their fourth straight game. This time it is to the Phillies to start off that series. The struggles that the whole offense is having, but specifically Jung Hoo Lee and the outfield. And is this a Posey problem? Is he good at his job? I don't know that we know that quite yet. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Well, stop me if you've heard this before. The Giants lose again. This time it is to the Philadelphia Phillies, and it looked good early on in the game. You know, you had the whole crowd rocking. Matt Chapman 2 RBIs. Luis Arias had an RBI. Elliot Ramos had an RBI. They put together a good amount of hits. Willy Adames had 2. Luis Arias had 2. Matt Chapman had 2. Elliot Ramos had 1. Jung Hoo Lee had 1. Gerard Encarnacion had 1, Harrison Bader had 1, and Patrick Bailey had 1. So everybody had a hit besides Rafi Devers. So on paper, you're thinking, hey, you put up 11 hits, you know, that should give you a decent chance to win. But they score 4 runs, which is not awful. But when you have a shaky bullpen, sometimes that's not going to get it done. And what we've seen with the Giants so far is that they typically seem to have one good rally in them. Right? One solid rally, and that's pretty much it. Now, I know you're not going to always put up 10, 12 runs, don't get me wrong, but they almost look a bit shell-shocked when a team doesn't just roll over after they score a couple runs. That's not going to happen, and it's specifically not going to happen against other playoff teams. On top of that, first specifically, it ain't going to happen when you have a questionable bullpen. So that's what we saw yesterday. I don't need to see, no disrespect whatsoever, I don't need to see Borucki again for at least 5 games. I know they don't have the horses to avoid that, but I'm cool off Borucki. We've seen enough, okay? We've seen enough. I understand they don't have a lot of left-handed relievers. Figure it out. Go get somebody else because he's not fooling anybody right now. And it's just a situation where it snowballs. As soon as he comes into the game, the fans, right? The people selling the concessions, the players, the locker room, the clubhouse, the front office, nobody is believing what he is about to do and that he's going to be successful. And that might be a little bit harsh and that might be a little unfair, but that's just the reality. So you put up these runs and, you almost quadruple the amount of runs you've had over the last couple games here. And then Borucki comes in, and I get it. There were some ducks on the pond left over from Adrian Houser, who I thought pitched pretty darn well, and he immediately gives it up. There's nobody there to shut the door. I don't know if this is on Tony Vitello for putting him back in. I don't know if it's on Buster Posey. We're going to talk about that as well, but you cannot put that guy back in the game right now. We need a Borucki break. That's just where we're at right now. So you have that happen. Everybody is just holding their breath, hoping that the Giants can hold on to it because Lord knows they don't have another run in them or another a rally in them. And then he gives up the runs, and we all knew, all right, well, this thing is over. Rafi Devers with a weird play at first. I know he was playing off the line. Can you lay out for that? The hamstring, we get it. He just came back from that, even though he was DHing. But that gets down the line. Bryce Harper owned the Giants last night. So there's just a lot of issues. There's just a lot of issues with the Giants right now. The Giants have been outscored by 27 runs so far this season, the worst mark in franchise history through 11 games since they were negative 50. Again, that 1896 season, Okay, that just was not a great season, it seems like, for the Giants. They're 1-7 at home. That was from Josh Dubow, by the way. They're 1-7 at home for the first time since their first year at Oracle Park. Their first year at Oracle Park. The bullpen has been an absolute disaster. And who could have saw this coming? I don't know. Checks notes. Everyone saw this coming. When you have somebody like Buster Posey saying on the flagship station or wherever the heck he said it, bullpens can get hot. And that's really the one variable that can go back and forth. We're not sure how that's going to go. It can go either way. No, Buster, we knew which way it was going to go. We knew when it was a bunch of guys that we had never heard of and guys that were battling from AAA that this was probably going to be the case. Right? You move on from Tyler Rogers. You move on from Camilo Doval. Nobody's going to sit there and say, hey, we need Camilo Doval back. I get it. He struggled. But if you don't have anybody better than Baraki, that's going to be a problem. And you're putting him in against the Phillies offense? Like, what are we talking about here? So this is a mess. And again, we can continue to say it's early, but every game you lose is a game you're going to have to get back. Not to drum up what I said yesterday. So you go out there, the fan base is rocking, people are eating their Ghirardelli, people are eating their crab sandwiches, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, these teams are able to score and have multiple rallies. We don't have that. We're still working on having one rally a game, let alone two. And that's what we saw from the Phillies. So you can look around at this offense, but at the same time, there are going to be days where 4 runs ain't enough. 5 runs ain't enough. 5 runs wouldn't have got it done last night. So as much as I do think that this lineup looks better, maybe this should all be under the guise of relatively speaking. Maybe it's more about, well, it looks better compared to years past. But when you do break down the actual lineup, which we're going to do in depth in the next segment, specifically the outfield, when you do see that type of stuff, you start to realize, yeah, maybe this lineup is exciting for the Giants standards, but not necessarily when you look at the larger NL, right? And to be a contender. Right now, let's go through them. The Giants are second to last in runs scored. They are last in home runs. They are second to last in RBIs. They are second to last in on-base percentage. They are last in slugging percentage, and they are last in OPS. That's not going to get it done. Small-ish sample size, but you don't want to be last and second to last in these categories, especially when you're just starting out and you had a couple games at home, a decent amount of games at home. You're finally letting Gerard Encarnacion DH, and he's been whatever, nothing to write home about. The whole Jared Oliva thing is so funny to me because we spent all this time, hey, they're going to need a pinch runner and all these situations. This ain't the playoffs. This is not the playoffs. This is not, bringing on Darren Ford because you need to steal a bag in the playoffs. What do you need a specialist for at the beginning of the season? And I know he worked his butt off. If you want to get him in there to drag bunt or do something, then cool, then do it. But we can't keep watching the same thing. Cannot continue to do it. You have to find a way to manufacture runs. I don't know if they're not a small ball team, but they don't hit home runs. So what exactly is it that you do well, Giants? What is it that you do well as far as hitting the baseball is concerned? Because even I'll take a step back. From a team perspective, a decent rotation, a bad bullpen, decent defense, I guess, and hitting that is extremely streaky with really no identity. Because you can't be a home run team in that ballpark, but you don't do the little things. Right? I've seen them, they've shown bunt, they've done some little-esque things, and you have way too many holes in the lineup. Patrick Bailey, I don't know why. I get how good he is defensively, but I don't know why. It is malpractice that we have not seen Daniel Susac since he went 3 for 3 with a walk in his debut. He might have more hits than Patrick Bailey does right now from one game. I got to check, but I don't recall 3 hits from Patrick Bailey this whole season. If you want to run this thing more like a college program, then run it like a college program. Patrick Bailey, you've been bad at the plate. Sit down. Daniel Susac, let's see what you can do. Stop putting these guys in these categories. Well, you can't face a lefty or whatever it is, righty on righty. Just let the boys play. It can't get much worse than what Patrick Bailey is doing. And it can't get much worse than what we're seeing from these numbers. So I don't understand. They're almost stuck, right, where they don't have an identity. Tony kind of wants to lay into the full-blown, if you want this to be more college-esque, let's do it. But I still want to give respect to Major League, how it works in the bigs. So we're going to let these guys rock out and try to find their rhythm. Some of these guys never had a rhythm. Patrick Bailey never had a rhythm, not since the book's been out on what he can do. So how long are you going to let this stuff just sit around and waste away? How long? How long is this team? I saw this note. The Giants can't hit power fastballs. It's been the same way. This is the one thing you can sit dead red on. It's one thing if you're the Yankees and every time the playoffs come around, you forget how to hit a curveball off speed pitch. But you are a Major League Baseball team that can't hit the fastball. How does that happen? How does that happen? And then we got to watch all these other teams. They have no problem, right? This Oracle Park thing. Everybody else can hit at Oracle Park, it seems like. 6 runs, and it doesn't have to be by the long ball. That jet stream to right field was popping last night, and the Giants got a couple balls out there. You have to keep doing it. One rally is not going to be enough, especially against these better teams. On the other side, let's keep the conversation going. Jung Hoo Lee and the outfield. There are some alarming numbers about Jung Hoo Lee's contract. Yesterday, I tried to give him a pass. I'm not doing that anymore because I went back and looked at the numbers. It's bad. And you don't play center anymore. So let's have that conversation. More Locked On Giants coming up. The NBA playoffs are almost here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. So yesterday I was talking about some of the big money guys, and I gave Jung Hoo Lee a pass because, as far as I was concerned, he's making a little bit less money than some of those dudes. But then last night, as I was, prepping for the show, I said, you know what, let me take another look at Jung Hoo Lee's numbers. And they were a little bit more aggressive than I recall. All right. And what we're getting from Jung Hoo Lee right now, it's a problem. Now, as we get into the Posey problem in the next segment, that wasn't necessarily a Buster Posey thing, right? He was brought on right before Buster Posey took over. So, I'm not really sure how much responsibility Buster should share. I know he was in the building, but he was not president of baseball operations. Right now, Jung Hoo Lee, he is hitting 162. He has 4 RBIs. He has 8 strikeouts, 6 hits. He has 3 doubles, no triples, no home runs, okay? That's in 43 plate appearances and 37 at-bats for his career. Obviously, he had some injuries, but he is hitting 260 out of 742 ABs, 67 RBIs, 91 runs scored, and 10 home runs. All right, his OPS this season is .499. That is terrible, as Charles Barkley would say. For his career, it's .704, which is definitely better, right? Without a doubt. So Jung Hoo Lee, I decided, you know what? Let me go look at Jung Hoo Lee's contract, all right? His luxury tax hit, and then he has his actual annual payroll, all right? 6 years, $113 million, okay? He's getting 23.2 this season, 23.2 next season. He's got a player opt out. Let me tell y'all something right now. That brother is not opting out. Okay? He's not opting out. You know why? Because in 2028, he's owed $20.5 million. And in 2029, he's owed another $20.5 million. So the Giants still owe Jung Hoo Lee over, what, $60 million, not including this season, $60 million over the next 3 years. Maybe he opts out. I don't know who else is going to pay that man $20 million. So I highly, highly doubt he's going to opt out of that. Let's compare what he's getting paid to some of the other players out there, all right? And I just have it based on value to make it easier. I had it based on the AAV, the annual salary, but it was just harder that way. Some of this is based on the number of years. I get all that. Corbin Carroll is making $111 million, all right? It's over 8 years as well. So Jung Hoo Lee's making more money than Corbin Carroll. He's making more money, and again, this was a crazy deal back in, 2019, but he's making more money than Ronald Acuna, all right? He's making more money than Byron Buxton, who played on Team USA. He's making more money than Michael Harris II, who, again, is on the Braves. They got him early. More money than Teoscar Hernandez. Again, that's a shorter deal. More money than Lawrence Butler. More money than Luis Robert Jr., more money than all of these players. Okay, Trent Grisham, making more money than Trent Grisham. I get it. Trent Grisham a little bit older. He took that 1-year deal. He's making more money than Randy Arozarena. Okay, he's making more money than all of these guys. He's pretty much making what Pete Crow Armstrong is making. Okay, he's making $2 million less than Pete Crow Armstrong. Then you get to the big boys. You have Roman Anthony, who is making 130. That's over 8 years, though. Jackson Merrill, who's making 135. That's over 9 years. So some of these guys, and then obviously Cody Bellinger, some of these bigger names, right? So my point is, Jung Hoo Lee is the 15th highest paid outfielder in the league. Think about that for a second. The 15th highest paid outfielder in the league. And we have no clue. If somebody came from Mars right now and said, Alan, what is Jung Hoo Lee? What does he do? Well, he's looked pretty good in right field, so that's good. Hitting wise, I don't know. I have no clue. And the reality is this: your outfield, specifically in the NL West, one of the toughest divisions of Harrison Bader, Jung Hoo Lee, and Elliot Ramos, ain't good enough. It is not good enough. It's still on the big money players in the infield, but you're getting no relief. Elliot Ramos, we'll see what he is, right? 20 home runs the last 2 seasons. I couldn't tell you what Elliot Ramos is. Harrison Bader, 2-year deal. He had a good season with the Phillies, but that's different when you're getting protected by the Bryce Harpers and the Kyle Schwarbers, and we forgot about Harrison Bader. He's not there to carry anybody. Jung Hoo Lee should be doing some carrying at $18-20 million a year. Then we've already talked about the infielders. We had that conversation yesterday. We know what's on them. But you can't be the 15th highest outfielder. I don't care how marketable you are. At some point, you have to produce. And we can give him all the excuses in the world. He got injured. That was his first full season last season. Now he gets an opportunity. Okay, cool. We just need to see it. All these guys, the books are out on all these guys. Patrick Bailey, Jung Hoo Lee. Jung Hoo Lee just refuses to go the other way. We know with this ABS, everybody's been shrinking. I don't know how big Jung Hoo Lee actually is, but he looks small enough that he should at least slap the ball from time to time. He looks small enough where he should not be pulling the ball every single at bat. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So between that, Elliot Ramos, who's a tweener, Harrison Bader, who is just really there for defense, to be honest with you. And that's okay if your other guys are showing up, which is not what has been happening. So I had to give you some more details on the Jung Hoo Lee contract. You got to opt out, not after this season, but after next season. But it's a player opt-out. And I don't know who else is going to pay that man $20 million a year. So obviously, if it got that bad, the Giants could find other ways to cut ties. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully he just starts playing worth his contract pretty soon here. But I had to spin it back and spin the block back on the Jung Hoo Lee conversation, because after I looked at the numbers, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. On the other side, how did we get here? Buster Posey, is he actually good at his job, or are we all just blinded because of what he did on the field? More Locked On Giants coming up.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, and when it comes to our futures, we all have great ideas when it comes to our job, when it comes to our house, when it comes to our vehicles, all that great stuff. But honestly, when it comes to securing that future, I don't know what I don't know. And when me and my wife sat down to figure out the life insurance thing, Ethos made everything simple. Everything's online, you have a quick and easy application process, and you find out exactly what you need for coverage all in one spot. Ethos makes everything so convenient when it comes to learning about your own life insurance, because insurance is something that is far beyond batting average or on-base percentage. It's way out in left field for me. Ethos made it all easy. Take just 10 minutes and get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary and rates may vary.
Baseball is finally back, and to celebrate, I'm giving you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Go to LockedOnSFGiants at Supercast.com and use code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free and get access to our private listener group chat. Tap the link in the show notes and use code FINALLY to claim your free month. Last segment with you, and this is a tough one because some people are starting to blame Buster Posey for the slow start that the Giants have gotten off to, and I don't necessarily know what to do with that quite yet. And I'm going to say something that I've said before, and I've probably said it on this show before. We don't know what rules Buster Posey has been given. And it's the same thing I said about Farhan, right? If somebody gives you, if you've ever worked a job where you get somebody else's credit card, right? Let's say, for example, you are a wedding planner, okay? And they want you to have the most freedom you can to give them a good wedding. Well, the first thing you're going to ask is, what is your budget? Because I want to give you a good wedding, but I need to know what your budget is, right? So even going back to Farhan, and I've defended Farhan for years on this, he had some huge misses. The farm system was a disaster, okay? It was an atrocity. But at the same time, when it came to what Farhan was brought in to do as well, it was find those gems, find those Justin Turners like he did, the diamonds in the rough. And that's what he did. He did do that. Now, he didn't find the guys to spend the big money on, and the guys he did spend big money on, it didn't look great, but that was part of it, right? It was, hey, we need to get our books right a little bit. So now going back to Buster Posey, when you have Greg Johnson saying, we haven't had to tell Buster Posey no. Well, we don't know if that's because Buster was already told what the budget was. So, well, I'm not going to go to them if I already know what the budget is. Now, we can make the argument, hey, it's Buster's choice to try to break the budget and convince them to break the budget over certain players. And maybe we blame Buster because he should have broken the bank over Cody Bellinger. He should have broken the bank or asked them to break the bank over Framber Valdez, over some of those guys. Buster decided, and this is all just our assumption because we don't know, but Buster essentially thought, I don't know if that's worth it. So Buster can get blame, but it's hard for me to blame him when I don't know what guardrails he was given. Because every year there's going to be free agents that we want as fans. Every year there's going to be guys that we want the Giants to go after. I will say this, though. You should have maybe gone to ownership, gone to the chairman and said, look, I know we've spent big money. Some of this money I didn't spend. Some of it I did. Rafi Devers, Willie Adames. But we know what it takes to win a championship, and we need a bullpen. So we have to find a way to break that bank to get a better bullpen. It doesn't have to be about Cody Bellinger. It doesn't have to be about Framber Valdez, because the starting rotation outside of Malley has looked serviceable. It looks good, right? Not great, but good. We can't have guys with quality starts going into the dugout and then just praying that Baraki doesn't blow the game. So maybe that's the one thing among others, but maybe that's the main thing I would focus on with Buster. He should have fought harder to make sure that the bullpen was in a better position. The hitting, the lineup, we can go back and forth on it, but the reality is it's more expensive, but it's in a better place than it had been in years past. To do all that, to even piecemeal together the starting rotation, hey, we're going to save money here. That's my issue. If you're going to save money with the starting rotation and say, hey, we're going to get 2 starters for the price of 1 in Malley and Adrian Houser, then you have to reallocate that money somewhere where you think it's going to help, specifically the bullpen. Because if you're not spending that money on starters, that means, or on high-level starters, that means your bullpen's probably going to be more important. So that's where I put this on Buster. Going out there, going on the flagship, whatever interview he was doing, talking with Pavlovich, whoever it was, saying, well, the bullpen, bullpens can get hot and then get cold. That's kind of the one variable. It's harder to control. No, it's harder to control when you don't spend the requisite money. It's harder to control when you're getting guys that other teams weren't even putting on the mound. Yeah, it is hard to control in that situation, but it didn't have to be like that. There were plenty of options. There were trades. You made a decision to not shore up the bullpen. You saw what happened at the end of last season when you tricked off however many games because of the bullpen and decided, that was just bad luck. We're just going to try it again. We have better hitting now, so we're just going to try it again. We have 2 more starters, so we're just going to try it again. And you're getting burned over and over and over again. 3 times now you've gotten burned by this. And you sit there and all these armchair GMs and armchair president of basketball operations, everybody's got a dad who thinks they can be a GM. Everyone got an uncle that thinks they can be a GM. A lot of us think we could be GMs. And I'm not saying we can, but everyone collectively, Giants Twitter doesn't agree on anything. The one thing they agreed on is that this bullpen is sketchy as you know what. And it's coming to fruition immediately. We didn't even have to wait to victory lap. We didn't even have to wait to say, maybe the bullpen's going to be all right. No, it immediately is ruining great starts and great lineup combinations and hitting that the Giants have cooked up. Now, it's not invincible, right? 4 runs doesn't mean that you just are able to roll the ball out and go home, but it would be nice to at least have some belief in your bullpen when you hand the ball over in the later innings. And right now, there is zero belief. No bullpen belief, more like bullpen blunders. That's what it's been. So I blame that on Buster Posey. Because even if they said, hey, Buster, we're close to our budget, you need to prioritize. Right? When you go shopping, when you go to the grocery store, if you have a baby, the top of that list is the stuff that the baby needs. We need formula. We need diapers. That's very important. I might want something else. I might want to buy an expensive ribeye. I might want to get the fresh squeezed pressed juice. But I can't do that. If I have money left over, I can get that stuff. But first and foremost, I got to get diapers. I got to get formula. I got to get whatever that baby needs. So the Giants, to me, their priorities have just been off. They have been off. You can spend money on stuff that matters. And the bullpen has forever mattered. Forever mattered. So that one is on you, Buster. Unless we find out, and Greg Johnson said, I never had to tell him no. So Buster thought, you know what? I'm going to save this money. We're going to be okay. And you're not. You're absolutely not. We'll see what happens tonight. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @_Styles File, Styles with an I. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get members only Discord access. You get Locked On Giants ad free and more. Head to LockedOn@supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.